Seriously, no one's ranked the battle mode tracks. Huh. Interesting. Alrighty then. Welcome back to the channel. So, I got more battle mode content today, however, it's not another montage. Today's video is actually going to be ranking all of the battle mode. I don't even know why I'm saying this. You click on the video knowing exactly what it was. I've played lots of battle mode in CTR, and I'm planning on doing my best with this ranking. This list is my opinion. I'm going to be going over each of the arenas in this game, and I'm going to be talking about all of the modes as well. Even though Limit Battle is the primary mode, and it's going to be what counts the most in this list, I will also be taking into account Capture the Flag, Steal the Bacon, Last Cart Driving, and... Yeah! Anyways, let's just dive right into this. There's 12 tracks in Battle Mode, and we're going to go from worst to best. Let's get started. Starting off this list, at number 12... we have Frozen Frenzy. Yeah, Frozen Frenzy is bad. It's it's really bad. I don't know what to compare it to. It's like, imagine going to a restaurant that's like super packed, and you're just like, oh, it's fine, the food's amazing, you know, even though there's not much space, you know, you find your seat and you're like, think about that, but instead the food is just absolutely terrible. Like, that is Frozen Frenzy. When me and my friends play Battle Mode, there isn't one player who thinks about playing Frozen Frenzy. If you think the blades on Deep Sea Driving are bad, I honestly feel like the hitboxes on these blades are genuinely worse than the ones in Deep Sea Driving, and that's saying a lot. Every Wampa box that is on this map is in the air, which would be fine, I have no problem with that, but they're so awkwardly placed that you have to really maneuver properly, like super tight. Like, I don't know, you just have to play the map and understand it. Inexperienced CTR players that play this map, they're gonna have trouble getting those Wampa boxes. Anyways, back to the size of the map. All it really is one skinny loop. There's an upper section and a lower section, but the only reason you need to take the lower section is if you need Wampa, but even when you do that, that leads right back to the upper section, so there's really no point of the lower section. The only other part of the map is in the middle, but nobody wants to go to the middle because there's fidget spinners throughout the entire map, every way of entrance, and there's basically no upside to go into the middle, unless you want an item, but there's plenty of item boxes around the map, so there's no real point to going in the middle. It's completely useless. There's no fluidity, there's no fast-paced battle action, there's no room for quick dodges and angled shots. It's honestly just the worst map in the game, and it's not even close, in my opinion. At number 11, we have Lab Basement. Lab Basement suffers from similar problems that Frozen Frenzy suffers from, but fortunately the map is nowhere near as bad. The issue at hand really is how tiny the map feels. When you play this map, it feels like you have to be basically face to face with someone to hit them. The map layout is incredibly weird. I don't really care for how the walls are placed. Honestly, what I would do to improve this map is take out the walls. Obviously, other than the outside bit, I would take out the walls like in the middle and instead turn them into pits, and the map would just turn into a bunch of hazards. It would make it more risky to play, but I think it would also make it a bit more interesting, and it would make it much more fast-paced because you could jump over the pits, assuming you have the speed and momentum to do so. Also, this would allow for more bomb, shield, and potion shots to be more effective and creative on this map, so you can't really shoot over the walls because they just explode on impact, but you could shoot over the pits if the walls were gone. But with just how it is, there's no proper flow to the map, and it's just really bland. I've actually seen a few people try and defend Lab Basement before, but I don't exactly know why, so if you're one of those people that likes Lab Basement, comment down below why you like it, because I'm really interested to see what people like in the map. Now that we're in the top 10, we're going to start off with Magnetic Mayhem. I think of all the Battle Mode maps they brought back, this is probably the one they fumbled the most. And the reason why is because the original Magnetic Mayhem, although it wasn't perfect, was a wide open solid layout map that was just overall decent for Battle Mode. This version of Magnetic can be fun, but it's just way too small, and just like the first two maps, it can get really crowded really quickly. It just feels like it's overall just way too cramped. Especially if you've played both versions of the map, then you know what I mean if you played the original C and K. This map is absolutely unplayable if you have any more than 4 players. So if you're going to play this map, play it with like maybe 2 or 3 players. But if you play it with like 6 or 7 or 8 players even, then you're just not going to have a fun time at all. Granted, I'm someone who believes that battle mode and CTR free-for-all with more than 4 players is just a horrible idea regardless of the map, but for this map in particular, straight cancer. There is potential that lies within Magnetic Mayhem, but the overall execution from Beanox is the reason why it's at the number 10 spot. At 9, we have the North Bowl, which is probably one of the most forgotten battle mode arenas in the game. Granted, it's not exactly a great arena or anything, but it's at least better than a few of the maps in my opinion. North Bowl, unlike the previous 3 maps, doesn't suffer from being too small. As a matter of fact, it's probably the exact opposite. It's a very large map, arguably the biggest in the game. There's a lot of open space, and there's ice in various spots around the map. Driving on the sides of the bowl on the map, it really does seem kind of rough. There's also this weird glitch that allows you to climb the top of the map. Don't ask me why this exists, because I actually do not have any idea.
Alright, I'm finally home. Oh, this isn't Blizzard Blood.
Oh, and you want to know what else is glitchy? The sides of the bowls. If you're up on the side and someone tries to hit you with an item from below, you're not getting hit. The hill just blocks mostly everything that they throw at you, including bombs and rockets. We tried this with shields too, but shields actually do go up the hill for some reason. Again, this map is another that has a good amount of potential behind it. I just think it's way too glitchy, but I don't think it's a bad map. It's not a great map by any means, but it definitely could be a lot worse. Okay, so we're starting to get into like this next tier of maps, because I think we've gotten rid of all the bad maps, or the somewhat bad maps so far. So heading into number 8, we have Temple Turmoil. Compared to what I see other players say, I actually think I put this a little bit lower than what others do. And to be honest, this map and the next 2 maps, in my opinion, are pretty interchangeable, and I flip-flop around with them all the time. Temple Turmoil is a basic map with a wide open area and several item boxes. There's a small podium-like structure in the middle and some rented towers on the side. The primary reason I put this a little bit lower, though, is I think it's just a little bit too open, especially for how small the map is. If you're going to play this map, don't play it with rockets.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
It's guaranteed death. Other than that, though, it's a solid map, and might I add, it's one of the cooler looking maps in terms of visuals. Oh yeah, and remember those towers I was talking about earlier? Well, turns out you can jump on them. It's actually pretty fun. You can jump on the sides of the tower, and there's like a glitch spot that you can stand on with your cart, and it looks like you're sitting in a tree.
And what's crazy is you can actually drive on these walls. Like, if you go around this pole, you can drive like straight around it. You just have to be really careful. Overall, this is a solid map. There's a couple funny things about it, but it's solid overall.
At 7, we have Skull Rock. This is essentially the better version of Temple Turmoil, but let me just go ahead and compare the two a little bit. The size of the maps are somewhat similar, but Skull isn't as open, so it's easier to dodge rockets. The podium in the middle of Temple Turmoil is similar to the bridge on Skull Rock. They're both mid-map, but you can move much more freely on the bridge than you can on the podium. You can also go underneath the bridge, while with a podium you can either go up it or around it. Glitch-wise, Temple Turmoil has the tower glitches. Skull Rock doesn't really have anything, well, except for under the bridge hitting with bombs. So yeah, Skull Rock is just honestly a better Temple Turmoil, and that's why I have it a bit higher. Just overall, I think it's much better designed. Coming in at number 6, we have Nitro Court. Now, we have another comparison for this. We're actually going to compare this one to Lab Basement. These are the only 2 maps that don't have any ramps or upper movement. So, let me tell you why I prefer Nitro Court heavily to Lab Basement. For starters, the map is much bigger on Nitro Court, which is good because Lab was too small. It's much easier to maintain your momentum on this map, as the walls don't really get in your way as much, plus the walls in general on this map are much smoother than on Lab. The wall placements, the box placements, and the item placements are much more consistent on Nitro Court, making the map much simpler and easier to remember where you need to go depending on what you need. If you're going for Wampa crates, there's 4 Wampa boxes. There's 2 on one side and 2 on another side. What you want to do is you want to look for the side that has the big door. That side and the side that is completely on the other side, they do not carry Wampa fruit. go to the 2 other sides opposite from those 2. The final reason why I put this much higher is that it's fantastic for team game modes, especially Steal the Bacon. Lab Basement is the exact opposite, as it's too small and the placement of the flags in the middle is completely unfair to one or more of the teams playing, depending on what game mode it is. For Limit Battle, I will definitely say that Skull Rock and Temple Turmoil are better maps than Nitro Court, but Nitro Court kind of takes the cake in every other mode other than Limit Battle, and it's still decent for Limit Battle. It's just not as good as Skull Rock and Temple Turmoil. Getting into the top 5 now, we got Desert Storm. Desert Storm has been one of those maps that has only grown on the community as time has gone on, but with Desert Storm, it's similar to how the North Bowl is in size, which means it's a little bit too big, but at least with Desert, it mostly takes advantage of the size of the map, and even though it's still kind of open and getting hit by rockets is a regular, there's a lot of defensive areas on this map, which makes it much better overall for just playing in general. In my opinion, I do think this map could benefit from having 1 or 2 more Wampa crates, and maybe even 1 or 2 more item boxes. Since this map is very big, and there's only, I believe, 3 Wampa crates, this map is very good, and if you have a large party of players with you, it fits very well for this map. The same can't really be said, though, if you're playing one-on-one. In this case, I do think it's better to go to a map such as Skull Rock, or maybe even Temple Turmoil for that matter. Another thing I will say about Desert is it's very one-sided. One half of the map, you have a wide open area with a tiny hill to avoid items. On the other half, you have wide upper roads that lead into the top center of the map to rain fire on your opponents. So, needless to say, sticking on the second half of the map is much better. Overall, solid map. I wish I could make a couple changes to it though, because there is room for improvement, but overall, top 5 is still a solid spot for it. Alrighty, now we're in the top tier of battle mode maps. The 4 remaining maps that are left are very close to each other, but in the end, I had to rank them as best as I could, and here's what I came up with. Number 4, we have Rocky Road. I wanted to put this higher, but I just couldn't. I really couldn't. The limit battle for this map might be my favorite in the game, but I do think there's a couple issues with the trek that bring it down to the number 4 spot. First, I think there's not enough Wampa crates. There's only 1 in the corner of the map and then another in the right side of the middle of the map. Other than those 2, there's no Wampa. I think it needs at least 1 or 2 more Wampa crates on it. It could probably benefit from 1 or 2 more item boxes as well, but the glaring issue is definitely the Wampa. It's not the biggest map in the world. I do wish it was a little bit bigger. Although I did say Limit Battle for Rocky Road is fantastic, the same cannot be said for the other modes, especially Steal the Bacon, as yet again it is completely unbalanced with how the flag is placed. Allow me to show you. As you can see, Steal the Bacon, 4 team-wise, there's 1 side in each corner where you needed to go take the flag. If you are on blue team, it is by far the easiest because the flag is closer to you and your base is closer to the flag. Yellow and green teams are at the biggest disadvantage, because especially the green team, because you have to go the furthest to get the flag and it's the hardest route to get back to your base. I'm going to show you these idiots trying to play. As you can see, the green guy gets the flag and it's going to take him the longest time to get back to his base to score it.
Mission failed.
I don't like this map for anything other than Limit Battle, really. I guess you could get away with last cart driving if you have, a small lobby, but other than that, it's not great for it. But yeah, that's why I have Rocky Road at number 4. Great map. I think it could be a little bit better, but overall, not much to complain about. Coming in at our 3rd place spot, we have Terra Drome. Terra Drome has really grown on me since I started playing Nitro Fueled, as I really never played it in the original C&K. It's a very simple but chunky map with all sorts of cool aspects. It's one of the 3 biggest maps in the game alongside Desert and North Bowl, but it easily does the best job of using its space rather than just keeping the map empty. You can also take a bridge that leads across the map above the entire rest of the map, allowing you to jump off at any point if you'd like. There are plenty of Wampa crates and item boxes all over the place, and it's very organized and they're in all consistent spots. It's a very balanced map and it's very well designed. One of the things I've heard a couple people complain about is the fire trap in the middle. So let's go over it a little bit. The middle has several item boxes, making it impossible not to get an item if you need one. However, a trap box in the bridge can activate a fire trap. It's not the worst thing in the world, and it can easily be avoided if you're stuck in the middle. One tip for this is to look for your opponents and see where they are on the map. If you know nobody's near the activation crate, then swoop down in the middle and grab yourself a box. If you don't, it's fine. There are plenty others around the map. In terms of different modes, I think almost every mode is good for this except for Steal the Bacon if you have 4 teams. If you have 2 teams, you can get away with Steal the Bacon. I think it's actually a good mode for that. 3 or 4 teams is not going to work. Overall, this is a great map, and I'm very happy to play it every time I do. Coming down to the top 2, this was even tougher than the top 4, because with the top 4, it was the 4 best tracks. With the top 2, they're basically tied. I ended up at number 2 going with Parking Lot. Parking Lot is easily, without a doubt, one of the best maps in this game. It's structured perfectly with boxes being in every side of the map. In my opinion, if we're talking about playing 1v1, Parking Lot is the top map to go to. It's good for literally every game mode. It has little to no flaws, and it's an absolute blast every time I play it. The size of the map is basically perfect. It's probably the smoothest map to drive on. Easily the best map for dodging rockets. I mean, it's I could shove this map at number 1, and I don't think anybody would have an issue with it. Well, except for Hodge, but Hodge's opinion doesn't matter. But I still think there's one map that beats it just slightly. Coming in at number 1 for this list is Rampage Ruins. This is a tough one. I contemplated this and Parking for the top spot, but I can't pick Parking Lot over Rampage. I've never been able to think of Parking as the better map. I think there might be an argument. Parking might be less flawed, but Rampage has more interesting gameplay. Then again, Rampage basically has no flaws either, so the whole flaw thing doesn't really matter. It's a beautifully created map with solid design, great box placements around the map. Both this and Parking were tough, but in the end it came down to nostalgia. Yeah, I know that might not be the best way to do a ranking, especially for the number 1 and number 2 spot. They're basically tied. I really don't know how else to separate them, really. I'm sorry, it's hard. Even though I might be slightly biased towards the nostalgia I have for Rampage Ruins, at least I didn't do something like, oh, well, the number 1 battle mode track, pal, is Desert Storm, because it has the Thunderstruck music. You know who you are. But I know I'm not the only one who believes Rampage Ruins is the best battle mode map. I've had plenty of fond memories on the OG CTR playing Rampage Ruins with my older brothers, and winning, might I add. No, Jono, you are not better than me at battle mode. I'll also bring up the other modes. While I do believe Parking is better for Steal the Bacon, I do think Rampage is just as good, if not better, for all of the other game modes. Either way, you gotta love Rampage Ruins, and it's very deserving of this number 1 spot. Thanks for watching the video. If you have any content that you'd like to see, please comment down below. I'm having fun making these YouTube videos. I've been having fun on battle mode lately. So if you want to see more of it, just let me know. If you're also wanting to play battle mode, or just CTR in general, my Xbox gamertag is the same as my YouTube channel. So there's that. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.